Considering doing business under a different name? Stay tuned to learn how to register your DBA in Wisconsin seamlessly. Let's dive right into this explainer and demystify exactly how to secure your new business name. I know, it might sound a bit bureaucratic at first, but honestly, it's actually one of the most exciting and essential first steps you can take for your brand's identity.
Because here's the thing, registering a DBA is going to save you time, money, and a whole lot of legal headaches down the road. Whether you're a brand new sole proprietor just getting your feet wet, or maybe a seasoned LLC looking to launch a totally new product line, getting that name registered correctly is absolutely the foundation of your public presence.
To give you an idea of how this works, this example perfectly illustrates the power of a DBA. It allows a business like Smith Furniture Palace LLC to operate as simply Furniture Bargains, and they don't even have to form an entirely new company to do it. Imagine you started your LLC years ago with this very formal, legal-sounding name, right? But now you really want a catchy, consumer-facing brand for a new storefront. Well, a DBA, which literally stands for Doing Business As, is the legal mechanism that bridges that gap. It basically tells the public and the government who is actually running the show behind that shiny new sign. So here is what we're covering in today's explainer. First, legal rules and protections. Second, the step-by-step process. Third, avoiding common DBA pitfalls. Fourth, your DBA business strategy. And finally, final thoughts and a quick disclaimer. Okay, the absolute most crucial point to understand before we go any further is the terminology. While you and I might call it a DBA, the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions, or DFI, officially calls it a trade name. And look, this is a huge point of confusion for a lot of first-time filers. You might go to the state website searching for DBA or fictitious business name and just come up completely empty. In Wisconsin statutes, it is exclusively referred to as a trade name. Keep that in your back pocket. All right, let's jump into Section 1, Legal Rules and Protections. Now, registering your trade name is technically optional in Wisconsin, but doing so creates this vital public record that helps you open business bank accounts, sign valid contracts, and importantly, prove you were the first to use the name. So while the state doesn't legally force you to file this if you're just operating informally, practically speaking, you kind of have to. Think about it. If you walk into a bank and try to open a business checking account under your new alias, the teller is definitely going to ask for your state-issued trade name certificate. It also establishes what's called common law rights, creating a solid paper trail that proves exactly when you started using that brand in your local market. Now, check out the contrast here. If Madison Lawn Co. is just a DBA, the owner has zero liability protection, whereas an LLC creates a legal wall protecting your personal assets. A lot of people mistakenly think a DBA is a business structure. It's not. It is quite literally just a name tag. If your sole proprietorship is operating under a DBA and, heaven forbid, gets sued, your personal bank accounts and your house are still on the line. If you want a shield between your business and your personal life, you absolutely must form an LLC or corporation.
Similarly, a trade name simply announces to the world that you are using an alias, while a trademark actually grants you exclusive rights to use that name for specific goods or services. Filing a trade name with the Wisconsin DFI puts your name in the public database, sure, but it doesn't legally block someone across the state from opening a similar business. If you really want exclusive ownership and the ability to sue for infringement, you've got to pursue a formal trademark.
Moving right along to Section 2, the step-by-step process. Registering with the DFI is actually a pretty straightforward procedure that we can break down into 4 essential steps. Search availability, gather your info, complete the form, and finally submit and pay. Let's look at each one of these a bit closer. Before filling out anything, you absolutely must verify your desired name is distinguishable by searching both the DFI corporate records and the state trademark portal. This is step 1, and you simply cannot skip it. If you submit a name that is identical to an already registered LLC or an existing trademark, the DFI is going to reject your application. And hey, as a quick pro tip, while you're already checking those state databases, you should probably check domain name availability and social media platforms too, just to make sure your brand can be totally cohesive online. Okay, so when completing the online or paper trade name registration form, you're going to need to provide 5 specific pieces of information accurately. First, the exact spelling of your new trade name. Second, the registrant's full legal name, so that's you or your LLC. Third, your principal place of business address. Fourth, a brief plain language description of the nature of the business. And fifth, your signature and the date. Super simple, right?
And you're going to love this part. The state filing fee for submitting this form is a highly affordable $15. Yep, just $15, with no extra county or publication fees required. In a lot of other states, you have to pay hundreds of dollars just to publish your new DBA in a local newspaper for weeks on end. Wisconsin keeps it incredibly business-friendly. It is literally just a flat, one-time fee of $15, submitted straight to the DFI. The value here is just incredible. Once approved, your Wisconsin trade name is valid for a full 10 years, and you can simply renew it 6 months before it expires for another $15. That is an unbelievably long lifespan for a single registration, especially compared to standard business licenses that you often have to renew every single year. Basically, just set a calendar reminder a decade out and you're good to go.
Next up, Section 3, avoiding common DBA pitfalls.
So even though the form is easy, you must ensure your proposed name actually complies with state naming guidelines. This means you cannot just tack LLC or Inc. onto a DBA, and you definitely need to avoid restricted words. For example, if you're a sole proprietor, you can't name your business Smith Logistics LLC just to sound more professional. That's actually illegal because you aren't an LLC. Likewise, you can't use regulated words like insurance, architecture, or engineering unless you have the corresponding state professional licenses. Also, just a heads up, fictitious name in Wisconsin refers to foreign entities, not domestic DBAs, and obviously, don't use words implying illegal activities.
Another really common mistake that leads to instant application rejection is trying to use a P.O. box. You absolutely must provide a physical Wisconsin business address. The state needs to know exactly where the business is physically operating, or, where legal documents can be delivered if needed. If you operate out of your home, you'll just have to use your residential address here. P.O. boxes are strictly prohibited for this.
Also, if you decide not to use the online portal and prefer mailing a physical document, please remember that your signature on the paper form must be notarized to be accepted. Honestly, the online filing system through the DFI portal is so much faster and completely bypasses this notarization requirement. But hey, if you prefer to do things the old-fashioned way with paper, just don't forget that notary stamp.
Now let's talk about Section 4, your DBA business strategy. Using a DBA is a brilliant strategy for expansion. It allows an existing entity like Ben Medical Supplies LLC to effortlessly launch a totally distinct retail pharmacy line called Fill My Pills. I mean, imagine if Ben had to file new articles of organization, get a new employer identification number from the IRS, and pay $130 for a brand new LLC just to test out a new retail market. It would be exhausting. A DBA neatly bypasses all of that red tape.
Ultimately, a DBA grants you immense creative freedom. You can test new brands and segment your offerings without the heavy administrative burden of filing for a brand new LLC every single time. It allows a sole proprietor to operate with a professional brand name, keeping their personal name off the storefront for a bit of privacy. It allows corporations to seamlessly expand into entirely new demographics. It truly is one of the most cost-effective marketing tools in your entire business arsenal.
And finally, Section 5, final thoughts and disclaimer. Please remember that the content in this explainer is strictly for informational purposes, and you should always consult with a legal or financial professional for specific concerns regarding your unique business situation. We're just breaking down the source material and state guidelines to make them a bit easier to understand. But look, everyone's risk tolerance, liability needs, and trademark goals are completely different. Always get professional advice before making major legal moves for your company.
So, with the $15 fee and the straightforward DFI process laid out right before you, the only question left is, what incredible name are you going to register to take your business to the next level? How is this new identity going to define your brand's future? Get out there, check those databases, and give your business the exact name it deserves.